Welcome back. While campaigning is intensifying in many parts of our state, in some places around the U.S., this year's election has been particularly confusing. That's because of redistricting, or gerrymandering as some call it. That's the process of redrawing district boundaries. So where has the confusion been the worst? What could be done to make it easier in the future? Our George St. George reports from Washington.
The people who work here, who are supposed to represent you, have to do one thing first. They have to get elected. But in a lot of states this year, that has been made complicated because of something known as gerrymandering or redistricting. Before we go any further, let's start with what is gerrymandering. It's named after a founding father you probably couldn't name, Elbridge Gerry. He was a former vice president under President Madison, but it was when he was governor of Massachusetts that his name became synonymous with drawing controversial lines. The map he signed into law included a district in Boston that, legend has it, looked like a salamander. Ever since then, every 10 years or so in this country, some politicians decide to draw partisan lines. Why do they do this? Well, sometimes they're forced to because of a census. Other times, because of political opportunity. Sometimes by putting more city voters who tend to vote Democratic in the same district as suburban voters, you can make a district more likely to vote Democrat. Republicans can do the same thing by putting more conservative rural voters into a suburban district, making it more likely to vote Republican. What is really interesting about the redistricting process this year is how the maps still aren't settled in some states. In the state of Florida, legal battles continue after Governor Ron DeSantis signed into law his version of a fair new map. Many voting rights groups say it hurts the chances of black representation. It's not just Republicans who do this. New York's Court of Appeals ruled the map in that state, drawn by Democrats, was too partisan. Judges demanded a new one, and now longtime Representatives Carolyn Maloney and Jerry Nadler must run against each other. They're friends. In Ohio, it got so bad this year that a federal court actually said in approving a set of maps, our options were limited, so we chose the best of our bad options. Some primaries were delayed for months as a result. So is every state bad with drawing lines? No. These 10 states draw their maps using independent or bipartisan commissions, and while there was certainly controversy in those states over maps this year, it was much less than in the states where the political party in power drew the lines. Now, if you live in a state where redistricting, gerrymandering has been difficult this year, expect new reforms to be introduced in the coming years. After all, lawmakers will do this all again in 2031. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.